We're finally wrapping up our draft grades with the AFC North. We're going to kick it off with the Cleveland Browns. At number 5 overall, following a trade down, they took Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. I'm going to give that an A. I really like that pick. I still don't fully understand why they traded down from Travis Hunter, but, they did get good value from Jaguars, so I guess that's probably why they're looking to get a quarterback next year, and it does make sense when you look at it through that light. I'm still just a little surprised that they gave up on a generational player, though, but Mason Graham was number 3 on my big board, so to me, it makes total sense. At round 2, pick 1, they took Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker out of UCLA. I had him right in this range, so that's a B for me. That's good value for the Browns. I think Schlesinger is a really good player. He's very athletic. He added some weight at the combine. We'll see if that's going to affect his play speed or if he's even going to be able to maintain that weight. But that's a good value. At round 2, pick 4, they took Quinshawn Judkins, the halfback out of Ohio State. I had him in this range, so this is a B from me as well. And, I don't want anybody thinking a B is a bad thing. A B is your baseline good grade. So far, their draft's been really good. Round 3, pick 3, they took Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end out of Bowling Green. I gave that a B as well. I really like that pick. He's somebody that I think could be a really underrated tight end. He doesn't have ideal size. He doesn't look that athletic, but he is actually pretty athletic. He just kind of awkward when he runs. It's something you have to get used to when you're watching his tape, and we'll see if it ends up affecting him in the NFL, but I really liked him. This is right in the right range that I had him. Round 3, pick 30, they took Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback out of Oregon. I got to give this one a C-. I had him midway through the 4th round, and, this was just early. I get taking a quarterback early. I just didn't think Gabriel had the upside to be a starter. So to me, there was no way he should have ended up on day 2. And that's how it ended up being a C-. Round 4, pick 24, they took Dylan Sampson, the halfback out of Tennessee. That's good value for me. I had him at the end of round 3, so it makes a ton of sense. It's good value. He's going to be a good player for him, and he could be a good complement to what they already have on the roster. And then at round 5, pick 6, they took Shadur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado. That's a steal. I had Sanders in the 30s on my big board. There's no way he should have lasted till the 5th round. I don't understand why he fell, and, some people are going to say, well, he sucks. That's just stupid and lazy. Actually sit down and watch tape. He's not that bad. Does he have issues? Absolutely. And I'm not going to say he doesn't. He fades in the pocket too much, and he will go backwards instead of stepping up and throwing sometimes. He doesn't have the greatest arm. That's everything we know, but you can survive in the league without having the greatest arm. Look at Kirk Cousins. But I think Shadur's way better than a 5th round value, and I got to view that as a steal. Overall, I'm going to give the Cleveland Browns an A for this draft. I think it's really good, and they did a fantastic job getting good value in this class. We'll see if that 1st round pick they get next year helps them find their future at quarterback, and if it does, they're going to look back very fondly on this class. Next up, you got the Cincinnati Bengals. At round 1, pick 17, they took Shamar Stewart, the edge out of Texas A&M. I'm going to give that a B. It's right in the right range I had it. It's a risky pick. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not. I like Stewart, and I'm betting on Stewart. I had him at number 20 on my big board. He didn't have a lot of production in college, but he did get pressures, and you can turn pressures into sacks. Now, sometimes you may not learn how to finish, but I think he's going to be able to, and I'm betting on him for that reason. Moving on to round 2, pick 17, Demetrius Knight Jr., the linebacker out of South Carolina. To me, that's a C-. He's an older prospect. He's 25 years old, and honestly, I just didn't think he was as good as a lot of other people. I had him lower on my board. I just don't love the value here in the 2nd round. Some people are going to laud it. I don't love it, and I'm just not very confident that this pick is going to work out. Round 3, pick 17, they took Dylan Fairchild, the interior offensive lineman out of Georgia. I gave that a C+. I had him in the 4th round. Not the worst value in the world, but I felt like there was better interior guys still on the board when they took him, and yeah, for that, I got to knock it, honestly. Round 4, pick 17, they took Barrett Carter, the linebacker out of Clemson. That's okay value to me. I have no issues with that at all. Round 5, pick 17, Jalen Rivers, the tackle out of Miami. That's okay value to me. It's right in the right range where I had him. And then Taj Brooks at round 6, pick 17, the halfback out of Texas Tech. No issues with that. I also had him rated right around the 6th round area. So overall, the Bengals class isn't the greatest, to be honest with you. I have it as a C+. I didn't like their day 2 of this draft. I got to be fully honest and transparent. I think they overdrafted guys, and I think they could have had better values. Now at linebacker, there really wasn't anybody, in my opinion, that was worthy of going at round 2, pick 17 left on the board. I just don't think they should have made that pick. Now, if they'd have made Demetrius Knight in the 3rd round, I'd have been perfectly fine with that, and I think they could have got a better interior guy in the 2nd round. But maybe the NFL just valued him different than me. I just didn't view Knight as that type of guy. So C plus, not a bad draft, but definitely not a good draft. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Derek Harmon was their pick at round 1, pick 21. The interior defensive lineman out of Oregon was taken. That's a B for me. I really like Derek Harmon. I think he's a very good player. He's going to be a good pass rusher. He was fantastic in college at Georgia. He lost a ton of weight coming over from Michigan State heading to Georgia last year, and it really showed on tape. He looked explosive. He was an excellent pass rusher. Hopefully he's able to maintain and finish cleaning up his body, and I think he could be a steal in this draft, even though I did have him in the 20s on my big board. There's just still some projection with him to be able to reach a really high upside. At round 3, pick 19, they took Caleb Johnson, the halfback out of Iowa. I'm going to give that an A minus. I like this pick. I had him at like 60-ish on my big board, and he was like a borderline round 2 to 3, but I think he's a fantastic value, and I think the fit in Arthur Smith's offense is just impeccable, and that's why I got to give it an A minus. I really like this one. I think he was kind of limited in where he would actually be good in the NFL, and I think Pittsburgh's just the best situation for him, or one of the best situations for him to be able to hit his upside. Round 4, pick 21, they took Jack Sawyer, the edge out of Ohio State. That's a steal. I had Sawyer as like a 3rd round value, but a beginning of the 3rd round type of guy. So definitely good value here, getting him midway through the 4th round. You know, Sawyer isn't as good as you would hope. He's definitely not TJ Watt out there. He doesn't have the measurables that you're looking for, and he's not as explosive either. That's why he kind of avoided running the 40 and stuff. I think he's a good player, but I definitely did not see him falling to round 4, pick 21. I really liked him. I had him at the beginning of the 3rd round. This is just great value. And then at round 5, pick 28, they took Yaya Black, the defensive tackle out of Iowa. I didn't like this pick. It's early. I had him in the 7th round to undrafted. I just wasn't big on Yaya. I knew there was a lot of people that were higher on him. I just couldn't get there with him. Then at round 6, pick 9, they took Will Howard, the quarterback out of Ohio State. That's going to be a good value for me. I had him as a 5th round guy, so makes perfect sense to me. Round 6, pick 9, he can come in, probably a good backup for you. I just don't see a lot of starting traits. He could get there, but I think it's as I said throughout the quarterback video, it's a very narrow path for him to become a starter. And I'm just not 100% sure that he could be a starter in this league. And I think he's just going to be a good backup, and I have no issues with you taking that at round 6, pick 9. Round 7, pick 10, they took Carson Bruner, the linebacker out of Washington. That's okay value because I did not watch the rest of his tape. I'm not going to lie to you. Round 7, pick 13, Dante Kent, the corner out of Central Michigan. I didn't watch any of his tape, so I'm going to leave that at okay value as well. That's an A minus for me, though, for the Pittsburgh Steelers draft class. I absolutely love it. I think they did a fantastic job. They honestly did, except for the Yaya Black pick, they just did a very good job overall, getting good value and getting players with what they had for picks. Pittsburgh does a good job. This is why they're a good team. So I can't complain about this class at all. Another great draft. And I definitely think they're setting themselves up as long as they can find a quarterback maybe next year. That's their biggest question. I can't say I fully understand passing on Shadur, but I'm assuming with Aaron Rodgers coming in, there's probably some mandate not to get a quarterback or else he wouldn't come. So, I think Aaron is, he's like that in my opinion. It wouldn't shock me if that's what he said and wanted. So I'm going to speculate that's why they didn't go quarterback in this class. Now we're going to do the complicated one, the Baltimore Ravens. They're the division winners. They're one of the best teams in the league. You can see Mike Green, I kind of highlighted. We'll go through that. Let's kick it off, though, with Malachi Starks at round 1, pick 27, the safety out of Georgia. That's an A+ for me. I had him as a top 15 guy in this class. Malachi was a true first-round value to me. I absolutely loved him. I think that the NFL is just lower on safeties, and they don't value the position, and that's why he dropped. And I think the Ravens did the right thing in saying, you know what, I don't care that they don't value the position. It's the right thing to get a very good football player in here. And I think that's exactly what they did. And I'm going to give that pick an A+. Next up is the complicated pick. And that's round 2, pick 27, Mike Green, the edge out of Marshall. Value wise, that's an A+. And I absolutely love it when it comes to the football field. I think he's a very good football player as a pass rusher. He has a lot of bags in it, or a lot of moves in his bag. He's going to be a fantastic player on the field, I think. And I think he'll be able to make an immediate impact. But off the field, there's a lot of questions with him. He was accused of sexual assault twice, never charged, which I guess is where you can kind of look and say, hey, this is where you come in and go, it's worth taking a flyer on this guy. He was never charged for any of them, but I don't know. Some people want to go in on it and say he's done it and he's a, and we'll say apist and leave the beginning off. I don't think there's enough evidence to prove that he was never charged. There was nothing of that. So although he clearly has questionable character, you can make that statement. He can't get there, and I'm not going to knock it for that. I'm just going to say, as a football player, A+, but as a person, probably much lower. And it's just complicated, honestly. It's a bad situation, and you don't know how to handle it. From my point of view, I'm looking at it as a football player. It's an A+ pick. I think it's great value, but that person scares you, and you have to worry about that. And bringing a guy like that in that potentially could be a terrible human being. And I'm not one for violence, but if he did what he did, there's solutions for people like that, and not many of them are good. For me to say anyway on the internet without getting myself in trouble, you know. So I can't say what I would do if it's true, but if it's not, you know, it's a fantastic value. And I don't know. Like I said, the situation's just murky, and we'll kind of leave it at that. Round 3, pick 27, they took Emory Jones Jr. I had him as an interior offensive lineman out of LSU. I gave that a B. I think they listed him at tackle. I just don't think his foot speed's quick enough to be able to maintain the tackle position in the NFL. He's probably better off just sliding into guard, and I think it'll work out okay for him. He's a big mauling guy, though, and I really think he's a good value. Then at round 4, pick 27, on day 3, they took Teddy Buchanan, the linebacker out of Cal. That's early. I had him much later in this class. Didn't love the pick. Didn't really understand why they made it. Round 5, pick 3, they took Carson Vincent, the tackle out of Alabama A&M. I'm okay with that. It's a little earlier than I had him, but he is a developmental guy, and it was in the right range, so I couldn't really, I just didn't want to knock it as early. It's definitely borderline, though. At round 6, pick 2, they took Bilal Cohn, the corner out of Western Michigan. That's okay value to me. Did not watch a lot of his tape. I started it, didn't finish it. Round 6, pick 10, Tyler Loop, the kicker out of Arizona. I don't watch kickers, but okay, no issue with that. Round 6, pick 27, LaJonte Webster, the wide receiver out of Colorado. I'm okay with that value. I had him as a 6 to 7 round guy, so that's pretty much perfect where I thought he should go. And then at round 6, pick 34, Aeneas Peebles, the interior defensive lineman out of Virginia Tech. That's a steal for me. Absolutely love this pick. I think he's a great player. I think they got tremendous value. I had him at the beginning of day 3. I had him as like early round 4 type of guy. Now, as a pass rusher, he has everything there. As a run defender, there's a lot of questions, but Omar Norman Lott with the same questions went much higher. And I think it's because he had a little bit better measurables, but I think Aeneas Peebles is going to be able to make an impact as a pass rusher in the league. And I feel very confident about that, even though I probably shouldn't. Round 6, pick 36, they took Robert Longerbeam, the cornerback out of Rutgers. That's good value. I had him as a round 5 guy, and getting him at the very end of round 6, almost round 7, is definitely good value. And then at round 7, pick 27, Garrett Dellinger, the interior offensive lineman out of LSU. That's okay value to me. No issues with that. I had him in the 7th round, so that's a good value there. Overall, the Ravens, with their red flag here with Mike Green, I'm going to give this class an A. If Mike Green didn't have the questions, it would be an A+ class, but the character questions that come with Mike Green just draw you back a little bit, and you got to be careful putting too much value in the football side without realizing that as a person, he could be a really, really, really bad person. And, you just don't want that around your team if that's true. I'm confident in the football player. I had him high on my big board for that reason. I don't know the person, and I'm not going to pretend to know the person. I don't know the situation. I'm not going to try to tell you that I know the situation. I have no idea with him what's going on. I just know that the accusations against him are serious, they're questionable. It's a risk bringing in a guy like that, because if any part of it's true, you're bringing in a bad person to your team, and nobody wants to be around that, or at least no self-respecting human being wants to be around that. If he is innocent, he's learned to keep himself away from that situation and make sure that that's not going to happen to him. And he's not even going to allow himself near that situation again if he didn't do it. Now, if he did, he doesn't deserve to be in the NFL, and it's a red flag, and it's a tarnishment for the league to allow a guy like that in there. But there's just no proof he wasn't charged. And I do stand with that. If you're not charged, you're not convicted. What can you do? He deserves to have a shot to play. I mean, no convictions against him. And honestly, he was never even charged and tried for it. So to me, there's definitely a lot of questions and just a lot of unknowns. So overall, the Ravens did a great job. Like I said, it would have been an A+ without them questions, but an A class, and definitely probably the best class I think out there this year. So I want to thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys sticking with me through all the divisional rankings for the prospects and giving my thoughts. It definitely took a lot longer than I expected. I was hoping to get it done a few weeks ago and take a break before I started doing college stuff, but to be honest with you, I think pretty soon there might be a few days where we don't do anything and let this stuff kind of breathe for the draft. And then we're going to kick off looking at the top 25 teams in college football. And I kind of want to do some videos where we talk about the roster. Maybe I do some record predictions. And in there, we talk about why these teams could win the national championship. So if you have any interest in seeing what I have to say or why I think some of these college teams could win a natty. And at the same time, we're going to start to get to know some of the prospects that we're going to see in summer scouting and throughout the draft next year. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL as well this summer. It's going to be a little bit free flowing, but this is a football channel, both college and NFL, and we're going to talk about both. I just don't think a lot of people talk about college, so I wanted to put that out there and kind of go through why I think some of the top 25 teams could win a national title, because in college, there's only so many teams that can win. So to me, it's pretty easy to find that team. And I could be wrong. There could be a surprise team that comes through, but I think it'll be pretty easy. And I think one of the teams we talk about probably will win the natty. Either way, I want to thank you for watching. Please hit that like button. If you're interested in any of the content I put out, hit subscribe. Follow along for the journey. I'd really appreciate it. You know, YouTube's a hard thing to do, but I appreciate anybody at all that supports the channel, whether it's a like, whether it's a subscribe. And I just want to say I appreciate you and thank you for riding through the 2025 NFL draft with me. We're ready to get started on 2026 cycle and looking ahead to football and the NFL season, the college season. And I'm just excited for football to be back and to get back into the swing of things. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.